Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news. Loads to talk about this morning as Manchester United throw money at the problem. Ten Hag's up to £100 million transfer panic over the next few weeks. This is really interesting. Also, looks like we're getting Rabiot. Monaco didn't win last night, so he'll choose Manchester United. If Monaco had won, he would have snubbed us. We're buying a player that's basically coming for money, I presume. Also, updates on where we might be bidding yet next. De Jong looks like he's heading to Chelsea, if you believe Spanish reports this morning, and lots of other things. I also want to get into this whole Glazer thing because I think a lot of people are getting really excited about this bid, and I worry. I suppose worry is the word, and I want to sort of give an update on that situation, what's actually happening, because I feel quite, I'm very, very concerned about how the club's being run. I'm disgusted with the way the transfer window's gone, but I'm really worried about the fan base at the moment because you're just creating divide. Like I've said it, you got to make your own mind up, but you're dividing the fan base because there's this, it's almost like I've seen it. So you know what, we need to get into it properly in a couple of minutes. There's a massive divide in the fan base again, and people think they're doing good, but they're doing bad. Like they're telling people what to do. They're telling people to walk out of Old Trafford and on a Twitter campaign. You can't do it like that. I've been doing this for years. You can't tell people what to do. You have to get everybody on board before you come up with a plan. And I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of it. So I need to explain where we're at, because I tell you what, I will say, and I've said it so many times, whether people like this platform or not, it's probably the biggest Man United fan platform there is. If you want to get a message out there, the best way to do it is in front of hundreds of thousands of people every day. And that's what this platform is. So yeah, 100% behind things. And I think you need a bit of an update on what we try and do and why we hit barriers and why a lot of the time we just sit here saying, look, it won't work because of these reasons. So we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes as well. We'll also talk about this Michael Knighton thing. I was concerned about it last night. I don't know why people are getting excited about it. I've watched the video. Where's the detail? For me, that's a guy who did keep-ups on the pitch in the late 80s, saying he was buying United. The next day he didn't have any money and he didn't buy United. And here he is in 2022 saying, we're going to try and take over the Glazers. Well, who's doing it, mate? Because you've got no wealth. He's got no wealth. I think he's worth, well, I mean, he's a lot richer than any of us, but I think he's got about £10 million wealth. You're going to need a lot more than that. And he's talking about his consortium. Who's in it? To me, it could be true, but it could just be another Barry bullshitter wanting a bit of publicity. And, once bitten, twice shy. On Michael Knighton, I'm more than happy to have a chat with him and actually interview him properly, but he won't do it. But effectively, my stance on Michael Knighton is he's done this before and he embarrassed the club and himself. Where's the detail? Who is buying the club? Who's in the consortium? Because we could be... What if this guy's full of shit? You're better off with the Glazers. Because you're better off the Glazers because you can't buy the club. So I think people are getting really excited about anything. And actually what we need a situation like Chelsea where there's actually viable official bids from numerous consortiums that you pick the best one. We've got a guy doing a YouTube video who won't give you any detail. He's saying, don't do the share scheme through Moss. Don't do this. Don't do that. We've got a hostile takeover. With who? Who are the people who are going to buy this football club? Has he got anybody, or is he just doing a video hoping someone rings him up with £20 billion in their back pocket? Like, I think it's really dangerous to be doing interviews like that to a fan base that's so desperate for change and then sort of hype them up but not give any detail. I think it's irresponsible. And I've spoken to a lot of people who are a lot older than me who remember the late 80s very clearly, and they're like, I don't trust him after last time. So anyway, we'll talk about that, but let's get into a bit of news because it is a news show. Mark, if and only if Knighton, Radcliffe buy United, would you expect to spend? You're talking out your arse, young. You're talking out your arse. What are you on about, Radcliffe? Has Sir Jim Radcliffe come out and said he's buying United? No, it's a rumour. Nolan, welcome to Members Club. Until we get the official story, I ain't believing anything that comes out of that guy's mouth because what's the point? We've been disappointed so many times this season. And look, let's just start off. You never know what day's going to be next. You never know what crap's coming out United next. So Neil Custis in The Sun, who, look, all right, he writes for The Sun, but I've said it for years. He does get information from the club. Man United players are becoming increasingly annoyed by Ronaldo's antics. A number would prefer if he just left rather than the current impasse between player and club go on. So one loss, and we've got the leaks coming out again already. I absolutely cannot believe how badly run this football club is and how nothing has changed at all. It's the worst transfer window we've had in 10 years, quite frankly. We've lost the opening game of the season at Old Trafford at Brighton, and we deserve to lose. And all the smiles and positivity in pre-season has disappeared to the same old drop your heads, play shit and blame everybody else. And that's what that is. Like, why would I give a toss, actually? Can I just say this? Why would I give a toss about a current United player's opinion on another Man United player? I don't care whether it's Ronaldo, Rashford, Bruno or whoever. I would not listen to these United players tell me it was sunny outside, I'd get an umbrella. I don't care what you've got to say because I can't trust you. Your opinion means nothing. If a Man United player in that dressing room says to sell Ronaldo, I'd give him a 5-year contract. I'd build a statue. I wouldn't listen to a word they've got to say. They are blame shifters and they played shite on Saturday. What player from that dressing room would you listen to if they knocked on your door and said, we'd like Ronaldo to leave because he's disruptive. It's why we lost to Brighton. Bollocks, you lost to Brighton because you're shit. Get out my office and go and run around the track 10 times and then do 100 press-ups. Because shut your mouth and focus on your own game. Why would a modern professional footballer for Manchester United be bothered about what Ronaldo's up to? You played crap at the weekend. Focus on your own game and stop blaming other people. And I tell you what, it needs calling out because I'm tired of it. I'm absolutely tired of it. I'm tired of this transfer window. I'm tired of crap football. And I'm tired of these players bitching, leaking. Like, I told you. People think it was Lingard and Dean Henderson and Pogba and everyone like that. Well, maybe they did leak, but it wasn't just them if it was them. Like, it was a lot of players and they're still doing it. These players in the United dressing room have got WhatsApp groups with journalists. They've got them on speed dial. It's this easy. I can't find my phone. Well, it's not that easy for me. But it's this easy. Pretend phone. Such and such journalist for such and such outlet. Yeah, it would be better off if Ronaldo leave. The lads aren't that happy in the dressing room. Bang. Story written. That's how they do it. Simple as that. Simple as that. Line up today, such and such isn't playing. Can't give the whole team, obviously. Bang. It's as simple as that. And these things are happening all the time. The club know it's happening. You know it's happening. And I'm tired of it. And I'm sure you're tired of it as well. I don't want to be waking up in a morning reading about more dressing room leaks when we've just bloody tried to buy an Arnautovic and we're about to sign Rabiot. I don't need it. I don't need it. If Arsenal sign Tonali, it just shows how bad we have. Well, yeah, Football Bloods. There's a story this morning that Arsenal want Tonali. I mean, that I will cry if that happens. Players leaks just helping Glazers spinners again, says Brian. Love the show and your hard work. Whilst the board and the owners are a problem, the biggest problem is the current squad. They have no loyalty to the club, says Dib. Welcome to the members club, Karan and John. And Nolan. Right, let's get into the show anyway, because there is a story to hit at the start. There's lots to get into today, and I do want to talk about this Glazer out movement because I think it's important that people understand what our position is. Mark, what do you think about Chicharito's comments? Oh, he said he'd come and play for Manchester United for free, but he's too old. Michael Knighton bidding to take over the club. Adrian, tune in on time and you'll get your answer. I'm not going to talk. I think you are doing exactly what Michael Knighton wants. Everybody's talking about Michael Knighton, and I think that's exactly what he wants, and I think that's exactly what happened in the late 80s, doing his keep-ups on the pitch. It was all about him. What I want to know is, Michael Knighton, stop doing interviews, do a fucking press release with who your consortium is, how much money you've got, and what you're going to do. Because ultimately, I and many others do not believe this story at all and actually think it's damaging because it's distracting and could ultimately just be a big PR spin to get himself credibility and try and hope that someone rings him up with 20 billion. And remember, if you want to buy Man United, the Glazers will want about 5 or 6 billion because the Chelsea went for what, 3 or 4? So 5 or 6 billion for Man United, right? Then we need a new stadium and we need a load of players. You are going to need to spend you're going to have about 8 billion pounds in your pocket just to get United up and running again. Somebody said that Sir Jim Ratcliffe's worth is 12 billion. Do you think he wants to give up 75% of his worth on Manchester United? Think about it. Just do quick maths. Manchester United, you need somebody like what Newcastle have got or what Man City and PSG have got. That's what United need. That's what they need. And these consortiums, I'm sure somebody can just about, mortgage themselves up to the hilt and buy Man United from the Glazers, but they won't have any bloody money left and they'll probably have to take a loan out for it as well. So think it through. This is a guy talking on YouTube about a hostile bid and not telling you who's in the consortium. Sorry, I'll focus on other things for the moment. Thank you. If I'm honest, if it's hearing from the players, play better, keep your mouth shut, says Seb Watson. I've been buying Man United stuff every year since 1998, not anymore, says Karan. As bad as Rabiot from Frankie Dio, I think Ten Hag wants players he can get. He can trust them to do what he wants and go back Ollie days with a bit of pressure, says Pushan. Welcome to Members Club, Dave Leeds. So look, the headline I want to talk about is that Man United will spend money over the next few weeks. If you read a lot of what's out there at the moment and speak to people, effectively Man United are desperate, they're panicking, and that they are going to throw money at the problem. They have 70 million for De Jong that may not get spent on De Jong now. So that's 70 million, and it's believed they may have another 30 or 40 if needed. So there's potentially £100 million there for Manchester United to spend. We've certainly got about 50. So there's somewhere between 50 and £100 million for United to potentially spend over the next few weeks, and this is the story that they will try and spend it. The terrifying thing is for me that we're in a desperate phase. I mean, this is like the £1 billion we spent in the last 10 years. We're building a bonfire to throw it on. It's like this is not planned. There's no strategy now. Arnautovic, as we've seen, Rabiot, as we're trying to do. Who knows where we go next? I put this out on Twitter last night. I was looking at a website which gives you a list of players who have got 1 year left on their deal. It's well worth looking at because quite a lot of them we've actually been linked to already. But these are just predictions of players that we could go for in the next few weeks because we're really desperate. Thuram, Traore, Moussa Dembele, Diaz at Blackburn. I mean, I'm not saying we will go for those, but it's a bit like guess the player that we're going to desperately try and sign again. And I think that's where we're at now. There is money there to be spent. They haven't got Anthony. They haven't got Nunez. They haven't got De Jong. We have got money. We're under massive pressure. Let's spend it. And ultimately, what do you expect the club to do? I mean, I was thinking about this just before I came live, and I'm like, Ten Hag needs players. He's going to be desperate and buy any old shit. We've seen Mourinho in this phase. We've seen Van Gaal in this phase. United will spend the money. Look at Ollie when he didn't get Sancho that year, and he went and spent 30-40 million pounds on Palestri and Ahmad. It was a waste of money, an absolute waste of money. But it was like, spend it on something, do something to make the fan base happy. And I think that's what we're going to see in the next 3 weeks. We're going to chuck money at desperate signings and hope some of them work out. Maybe Rabiot will work out, but it's still very desperate. And Arnautovic, very, very desperate. Where are we going to go next? The money is there, but we're going to go desperate. Maybe we will go for Milinkovic-Savic. Maybe we'll chuck £60 million at him. We didn't want to do that a month ago. We definitely didn't. And now maybe we will do because we're desperate. So the money is there. It's up to you what you think about that. Personally, my thoughts are, look, logically, you shouldn't spend the money. You shouldn't. And I know that will anger people, but I would rather we didn't spend the money and we came out with a statement that we've messed this summer up and we can't just desperately throw money at the problem because we haven't got a lot of money and we're sorry and we're going to keep that money back till next summer. That's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. I would go mad if that happened. But what I'm trying to say is there is no way of rescuing this. Is it better to keep the money back and try and sort the problem out next summer or in January, or is it better to spend that money on complete gambles? Well, I think most people would say spend the money on complete gambles because it's better than nothing. But what I'm saying is they're both bad. It's bad. Like, we're not getting what the plan A's and plan B's were. We're now going to spend it all on plan C's, D's and E's. It's a shambles. And who knows where we're going next? Morata yesterday, even Ismail Sarr was mentioned at Watford. Obviously, Arnautovic deal is not on anymore. It's scary where we might go next, basically. Mark, am I the only one who don't like players in the squad right now and supporting them half-heartedly, says Jay. I watched the Brighton game in a bar in Cyprus on holiday, says Matthew. A few of us were talking about how we were looking forward to hearing your reaction after the game. Thank you, Matthew. And one of the characteristics that make elite football is taking personal accountability and showing improvement. All our players do is get their PR team to put a tweet out, says Thomas Gould. Welcome to Members Club, Dave. The problem with this Man United squad, and we've all been on about it for a long time, is they live in a house without mirrors. They blame, blame, blame. They surround themselves with people who basically wipe their arse. Rolo, welcome to the members club. They're surrounded by people and family members who tell them how great they are every day. They are egotistical because Man United makes you egotistical because you become a brand and you get jealous of what other people are doing. And there's a lot of that in United. There's a lot of players in United who don't like that other players get more exposure than them. But what none of them realise is that the reason you get criticism, the reason you're unhappy as a player, and the reason you're very bitter and twisted is because you're not very good at what your job is. If you play well at football, all this stuff will change. Your mindset, the appreciation you have from the fans, but none of them realise it because they think... I got told in the summer, there's a player in that dressing room at Manchester United who absolutely thinks he's made it. He thinks he's made it. He's not interested in working hard. He thinks he's made it. He thinks that the criticism of him from the media and the fans is unfair. He is a Man United player and he deserves to be respected. No, not anyone who criticises him, they could never play for Man United. He plays for Manchester United. He's worked hard to get there and he deserves more respect. What can you do with a mentality like that? Some of you might agree with that mentality, but what can you do with a mentality like that? I've made it. People shouldn't be having a pop at me. I'm a Man United player. I deserve more respect. I tell you what, Roy Keane, Paul Ince, Brian Robson, Gary Neville, never in a million years. Never in a million years. You wake up in the morning and it's a new battle. That's what a Man United player is. The mindset in that dressing room is shocking. Privileged, egotistical, blame shifters. They don't wake up in the morning and see it as a new challenge. They don't wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and go, I was shit on Sunday. I was shit last season. I don't care what anyone else is doing. I've got to look at myself in the mirror after every game. I mean, it's a simple exercise, actually. They teach it in sales. It sounds really stupid, but United players could learn something from this. A salesperson gets up in the morning, they look in the mirror, they get their suit on, they do their hair, they talk to themselves in the mirror and they go, 10 sales today. 10 sales today. I'll see you at 5 o'clock. We're going to have a chat then. And they come back at 5 o'clock and they've got 8 sales and they go, where'd you go wrong? Or they get 12 sales and you go, fantastic. It sounds really silly, but actually, if I'm a footballer, I wake up in the morning of a match and I go, 8 out of 10 performance today. That's what I'm looking for. And then I come back in the mirror and I go, man, United stand community gave me a 4. Right, it's not, you've got to do that. You've got to be your own biggest critic and you've got to set your own standards. And too many players at United pass the buck. Kevin, welcome to Members Club. Morning, Mark. Should we get Savic? He's more attacking midfielder than defensive. He wouldn't play number 6, says Mikael Roach. Yoza, welcome to Members Club. Look, Milinkovic-Savic, I'm not going to talk about Milinkovic-Savic today, really, because I don't believe that we're in for him. But I was one of the first people to talk about Milinkovic-Savic and how good he was. The problem was it was about 2017. I haven't really spoken about Milinkovic-Savic for about 3 years because I felt that ship sailed 4 or 5 years ago. To be back in for him now when he's going to be, I think he's 28 this season. I can't believe he's still only 28. I thought he'd be like 30 now. I think the ship sailed with Milinkovic-Savic, but he's a fantastic player. I would never say he's not a good player. He's a fantastic player, but he's not a number 6. And if you play him as a number 6, I don't know why you're buying him. Because for me, if you buy Milinkovic-Savic, you play him in as an advanced 8. You'd almost play him. You need a defensive-minded player next to him. Whether he plays in a 2 or he plays in a 3 with a holder, you need a defensive-minded player with Milinkovic-Savic. Somebody's got to be more defensive-minded, and it wouldn't be Milinkovic-Savic. Can you call Ben Partridge a prat for pouring metal shield into gloss? Says Mark Jones. You're a bit of a prat there, Ben. Anyway, bit of transfer news. Then we'll talk about what's going on with this Glazer movement because I know a lot of people are interested in that. So, Rabiot. Let's start off with Rabiot. Rabiot will be a Man United player. We're going to pay him silly wages. He wanted to go... Well, let me get this right. Let me be fair. He was considering going to Monaco if they were still in the Champions League. They got knocked out last night by PSV. So Rabiot has got no interest in going to Monaco now because they're not in the Champions League. He's got no offer from another Champions League club, so he will come to Man United because we'll offer him around 175, 200 grand a week. Probably more, actually. Madness. Absolute madness. Let's hope it works. It's desperation. It's going to happen. He's not a terrible player, but yeah, it's madness. In fact, if you remember, don't forget to check the video we put up yesterday comparing Rabiot to McTominay, Fred and Milinkovic-Savic. It's about 5-10 minutes long. Really good video, deep diving the stats over the last year of all players. looking at passing completion and aerial duels and all that. So it's well worth a look at what sort of player Rabiot is and how he compares to what we've got. Check it out if you remember. Arnautovic, Romano's come out this morning and said that, well, Romano said that Rabiot is the priority midfielder now. I mean, I'm not going over old ground again, but I don't believe any of this. Man United have been looking at Rabiot all summer. Yeah, of course they have. Man United have been looking at a Juventus midfielder all summer. Fabrizio Romano works in Italy and has most of those clubs and agents on speed dial, and none of them told him that Man United have been looking at Rabiot for months. Bollocks. We've only been looking at Rabiot for a few days and everyone knows it because we're desperate. But Arnautovic, Fabrizio says about Arnautovic, Bologna were actually expecting to sell him. They were expecting a bigger bid to go in. United were preparing a bigger bid, but they've pulled out 100%, and a lot of it is because of fan opinion. Now, there's a positive and there's a negative to this, because if Manchester United have pulled out of a deal for Arnautovic because of the fans, in some ways that shows the power of the fans, but I don't really actually take it as a positive, because I know the power of you. I know the power of the fans. I wish as a fan base we knew the power of the fans, because United were unstoppable. Divided, we become a joke. A lot of fans were really, really, really frustrated by that Arnautovic deal, and it wasn't for footballing reasons, it was for other reasons, as we know. And the club were inundated with complaints, and also they monitor social media, so they saw it. And they basically saw the situation with Arnautovic, that if they'd signed him, there was a real big fear at Man United that if they signed and unveiled this player, the backlash from sponsors and the fan base would have been the worst of any signing I can remember. I can't remember a United signing where it's been basically booed, you know. So that's what terrified United. Let's call it what it is. Man United bid for Arnautovic. They wanted to sign Arnautovic. And if there'd been no backlash from you, they would have gone in for Arnautovic. That's the scary thing, that the people in that football club didn't see what you saw or research what you saw. My initial reaction, I'll be honest, with Arnautovic was, oh my God, it's a bloody Poundland Cavani. 33 years of age, he's going to be 34 this year. I wouldn't have wanted him 6 years ago. Why would I want him now? That was my initial reaction. And then many of you and some other people were messaging me saying, you know, there's a bigger picture with Arnautovic. And I was like, oh shit, I forgot about the Euros. And then I was being sent other stuff, and I was like, Man United can't go anywhere near this. Whatever I think, I mean, I think my opinion matters as much as anybody else's equally, but whatever I think, even before I'd even thought about it properly, I could see this wave of Man United opinion in the fan base that this is not right. So, well done to you, but I can't understand. It's just another example of how badly run the club is. And I said this last night, I don't want to work for United, I don't want to be the director of football or anything like that, but if I was, and Ten Hag had said to me, I want to sign Arnautovic, I'd have said, okay, interesting, let me just go and have a think about it. And it would have took me 5 minutes to find out the problem with Arnautovic and come back to him and say, we want to back you, Eric, but we cannot do this. We cannot sign this player for this, and this reason. And if Eric had said, well, I really want him, I'd have said, we cannot sign this player, Eric. Like we can't. We can't. I want to back you, but I can't buy this player, because if I buy this player, the fan base will react like this. We can't do it. We just can't do it. But United didn't realise that until you told them. That's how bad we are. You know, I hate to expose it, but it's true, isn't it? Like, they've pulled out of a deal because of you, because they never did the research. They don't. And the scariest thing for me is, forget the research. They don't understand you. They don't understand the most important people at Manchester United, the fan base, who basically pay the players, get the sponsors in, pay everybody's wages. If every Man United fan said, I'm not supporting Man United anymore, which would never happen, I know, and just walked away, that club would go bankrupt within an hour. And yet we have got people working at that club who, I've said this so many times, they don't understand football. They actually bid for Arnautovic and couldn't see the problem with it until you told them. How scary is that? So when I wake up this morning and people are going, oh yeah, the power of the fans, the club are finally listening to the fans, I think they're not listening to the fans. They're having to listen to the fans. That's something very different. They're having to listen to you because you've made your voice known like you did with the Super League. But they've completely misread the room by putting the bid in the first place. It's scary. Why can't we get players that are Premier League proven that we know we can get, like Ward-Prowse, Neves, Zaha and Neto, says Jevan. I actually think, you know those players below, I was going to add in Zaha, but Zaha won't come back to Man United. He's got 1 year left on his contract. I think if Zaha hadn't played for Man United under Moyes, we would go for Zaha now, panic buy. We would. Because he's probably available for about 30 million. Plus, that 30 million is actually a bid of 40 million for Palace, because we've got a 25%, we get 25% of any fee for Zaha. So if Everton bought Zaha for 40 million, Palace would only get 30 and we'd get 10. So if we offered 30 million pounds for Zaha, Palace are really getting 40 because they'd lose 25% anyway. Zaha could come to Man United. Like, it'd be a very good signing for United in many ways, but it would never happen because we've already messed his career up earlier on, so he'd never come back to United. But if he's got 1 year left on his deal. It's very tough, but is there anything we can do as fans that could force the Glazers out? I'm going to talk about that, Kevin, in a minute. Why are United not looking at actual CDMs? If not De Jong, think Lema, says Louis. Look, the reason we're not signing Lema is because Rangnick recommended him. Simple as that. It's just pure stubbornness. The way this club is run, you would not believe. There is ego, stubbornness, arrogance. Like, Lema is the most obvious signing of the summer. I would be t-shirt off, running around doing an Instagram story if we bought Lema in the next few weeks. I wouldn't even describe it as desperate. I would describe, if United went in and bought Lema in the next 2 weeks, I would be cheering. I would be so excited. We should have bought him in May. Rangnick told us to buy him in May. He's exactly what we need to buy, and I wouldn't say it was desperate, because the reason we've never been in for Lema is not because of anything else other than stubbornness. They don't want to listen to Rangnick because they sacked him, basically. Lema would have been a great signing at 25 million quid as well. But shout out to Deborah, a true red. Thanks for breakfast in bed. Yeah, oh, Deborah, you're legend. Breakfast in bed, eh? That's from Kiwi Dragon. Mark, what about the hostile takeover bid of the club by Michael Knight and Manish? Please tune in at 10 o'clock. We've spoken about it twice already. Please, can you call Ryan? And it's been answered. It's unfair of me to keep talking about the same thing because it's been answered. Please, can you call Ryan a prat for saying Phil Jones is the best centre-back ever, says Will Scott. Gakpo. Let me just talk to you about Gakpo. I want to get through the news and then I want to talk about this Glazer thing. Gakpo won last night with PSV. It was the battle of Gakpo versus Rabiot. Monaco versus PSV. Champions League qualifier. If Monaco had won, Rabiot probably would have gone there because it's Champions League football. They lost, so it'll probably come to us. PSV, if they'd lost, we probably would have got Gakpo. They won. They've got another qualifier against Rangers, so I don't think this PSV Gakpo deal is going to happen fast because they're still in the Champions League. So Gakpo could still happen, but I think it's going to run and run. I think it's going to be... Well, look, you know what? What do we expect? A player that some of the fan base actually wants won't happen quickly. A player that we don't want, like Rabiot, will happen like that. If we're going to get Gakpo, it's going to carry on for weeks, isn't it? Let's be honest. Right up to the end of the transfer window. What I was told about Gakpo is there is interest from United, but it's not as big as some people were reporting yesterday. He's under consideration, but United haven't put a bid in yet. So let's wait and see. What's always scared me is that the fans know more than them and they get paid to be experts. We don't, says Tabo. Do you want me to give you a real quick bit of insight? Do you know why the fans know more than the board? It's really, really, really simple. Do you know why you know more about football than the CEO or the director of football or anyone like that? And it is true. Do you know why? Because you support the club. You support the club and it matters. So when you watch a game of football and you look at that midfield and you go, that midfield ain't good enough, you don't just go, that's not good enough, sort it out. The modern football fan goes, that's not good enough. Look at this team and what they're doing. Look at the way Ten Hag used to play. These are the 7 or 8 players we should be targeting. The modern football fan doesn't trust the club, so it does its own research and it uses its own knowledge, and you support the club and you care and it matters to you what happens with it. So if you don't like Delo at right back, you'll go, there's a right back here playing in Germany or something like that. There's a right back here we should be going for from the Championship or something like that. That's what the modern fan does. And you care. And you love the club. So it matters. The people who work at United, they're not Man United fans. A lot of them aren't Man United fans, and a lot of them aren't really into football. So you can see the drop-off straight away, can't you? It's there, very, very clear. Rabiot we've spoken about, Arnautovic we've spoken about. So yeah, as I said at the start, Manchester United are going to spend a lot of money over the next few weeks. Potentially, there is a lot of money there. How much of it will be spent desperately? There is stories coming in from Spain this morning that Chelsea are going to buy Frankie de Jong. I mean, I feel like I'll throw up when Chelsea sign Frankie de Jong, but if they sign Frankie de Jong. And I feel like we need an answer if he goes to Chelsea. I feel like, I said it yesterday, there needs to be an answer. Because all we've been told through May, June, July and now August is that Frankie de Jong will not join Man United. We've always been told that. And yet United have prioritised this signing, not bought any other players, and totally focused on one player. And yet we were always told that he never wanted to come here. So there has to be a private story that nobody knows. And we need to know that. We need to know why United spent all summer on a player that publicly never wanted to come to the club. There had to be some sort of private thing that's fallen apart, or is still there. I thought Damsgaard would have been a good option for United, but just signed for Brentford. Does United actually have a scouting department, says Rob? When I saw Eric's initial interview and how he seemed to brush off the Rangnick questions, I sort of expected this was going to happen, says the Rixer. Fans should demand 51% ownership of United, too much power being given to the Glazers, says Ivan. Well, look, you know what? On Rangnick, just very, very quickly, I think time has been very kind on Rangnick. I was always a big fan of Rangnick, and I think some people were and some people weren't, but I don't think you can bullshit it in football. I don't. And I think the way Rangnick spoke in press conferences, he was so intelligent and articulate. And remember, he'd never managed in this league before. He's, German, never managed in the Premier League before. And he was thrown in at the deep end with the most toxic dressing room we've ever had, in the worst Premier League season we've ever had. And he sat there every week, sometimes twice a week, doing a press conference in front of what is, a very aggressive and passionate set of journalists. And week in, week out, he had them on strings, telling them stories about what the problem was at United. And I thought the criticism he got, Rangnick, was unfair because it's not easy to do that. Not many Ollie could never do it. I think Ten Hag's going to have to learn to do it. But Rangnick always, from day one, was so articulate in his press conferences because he's intelligent and he understands football. And I honestly think that Rangnick, speaking about the club, is probably the best person we've had speak about the club in 10 years because he exposed the problems and he acknowledged the problems. The brilliance and genius of that is that Man United are shit. Like we are. We don't win titles. We've not won a trophy for 5 years. We've wasted £1 billion. But the club, because it's a brand, want you to believe that everything's good. As I said the other day, it's like roadkill with a smile on its face. You're not all right. You can't walk. You're bleeding out your mouth. You're not. What are you smiling for? Why are you pretending we're going on holiday? You're going to be dead in a minute. But United are like smiling behind all the trauma. Rangnick was the first person that came out and acknowledged the trauma and said, "This is what we need to do: open heart surgery." But he had a plan for it as well. He had a plan, and they sacked him. And I think it's the biggest mistake United have. I think Rangnick's appointment was one of the best things they've done in 10 years. And then 4 or 5 months later, they sacked him, which is one of the stupidest things they've done in a decade. But I was always told that Ten Hag had nothing to do with that. United had made the decision that they were going to get rid of Rangnick in late March. They hadn't even appointed. I think they'd even interviewed Ten Hag then, made the first interview. But they hadn't decided they were getting Ten Hag. So Rangnick was already on his way out in late March. The club made that decision. For some reason, there's been this story that Ten Hag wanted to get rid of Rangnick. But Ten Hag wasn't in post until the middle of May. I don't think he got the job until the middle of April. So, I think ultimately Rangnick should have been doing Murtaugh's job. And I think it's very obvious who sacked Rangnick. Any thoughts of interest in Sergio Dest, says Clive Roberts. Realistically, what is really going to take with the club falling so low before the Glazers even consider looking at selling, says Christopher Evans. Shamil, thank you very much. Harry King, welcome to Members Club. Right, I want to talk about the Glazers. I do want to talk about those. Just a quick reminder, by the way, if I can get this to work. I'm wearing one of our United Stand merch t-shirts. We do ship worldwide. It is very hot at the moment, so if you want to get yourself one of these t-shirts, you can do. That's not what I want to do. I knew I'd get it wrong. Links in the video description. We do ship worldwide. We've got some crackers. We've got the new. We've got a new one, as you can see here, in different colours. We've got the Ten Hag, and we've got the one that we've got a Bruno one. Needs to score some goals. And we've got the one that I'm wearing as well. Hoodie as well, does very well. And lots of different sizes as well. So links in the video description for those, and we do ship worldwide. There you go. Welcome to the Members Club, Daniel and Harry. Don't forget to check out the new members video as well. I want to talk about the Glazers now. A lot of people have been messaging me, and thank you for the messages. I don't have any problems with the messages at all. A lot of people are messaging me saying, please put your support behind walk out Old Trafford against Liverpool, and get behind the Glazers out movement. And look, first thing I'm going to say, the passion that the fan base has to get the Glazers out is fantastic. I want the Glazers out. I've always wanted the Glazers out. I wanted them out when we won the league. I wanted them out when we won the Champions League. I don't care whether we win the treble or we get relegated. I still want the Glazers out. We're in debt. They've taken billions out of the club. That's unacceptable. Whether we win the Premier League or not, they're not the right owners for a club like Man United. So I want the Glazers out. I think most of the fan base wants the Glazers out. That's the first thing. This walk out Old Trafford thing is a Twitter campaign, and it won't work. And I wish it would work, but it won't work. So I will not get behind it and start tweeting about it, because it won't work. And what it has done already is create division in the fan base. If you look on Twitter, and you don't need to look very far, you will see match day fans getting really pissed off and arguing with people who want this campaign to work. And you will see things like, you've probably never been to Old Trafford in your life. Stop telling me to walk out when I've been a season ticket holder for 30 years. And that's the problem. If you've ever been to Old Trafford, how are you going to get 75,000 people to not go in the ground? You're going to end up with a situation where maybe 5,000 don't go in, and you'd barely notice it. 50,000 at Old Trafford with 25,000 empty seats doesn't actually look that empty. If you want to empty a ground, you need every fan, or at least 90% of that ground, to walk out. How do you achieve that? So first of all, what I want to say is, the movement's fine. Absolutely fine. I wouldn't criticise it. It's people who are passionate about this football club trying to get people out of the football club. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is, there was a protest a year ago where a load of people online organised their own protest a week before the real protest. And the real protest was organised, and the reason I call it the real protest is because it was organised by all the fan groups and everything. There's nothing wrong with either protest, but you end up dividing the fan base because you get called the social media fans and they get called the real fans. That's the problem we have in the fan base. Now, some people won't like this, some people will like it, but listen to it because it's really important. There is division in the fan base, right? You want the Glazers out. Your best opportunity, and I'm saying you because it's nothing to do with me, you as a fan base, your best opportunity is to do something that's never been done apart from for the Super League. Unite the fan base. Everybody, Red Army, Man United Supporters Trust, every other group that there is, has to be on the same page. Because if you don't, you'll run off with your own idea about a protest or walking out on Old Trafford or staying out for the first 17 minutes. And even the protests that have been going on, there's still loads of people in the ground. There's still loads of people who don't really agree with it or get on board with it. Why is that? Because it's just another group that doesn't actually bring everybody together. You've got to bring everybody together. Now, people will quite rightly be saying, you've got the biggest YouTube channel for Manchester United in the world. You've got 500,000 followers on Twitter. You've got a huge influence, over 1 million, 1.3 million on Twitter on the United Stand. That can be a voice for good. I will tell you this, it always has been. It's never not been. I will tell you what the United stand does and has always done. Money has been put forward for the Super League, for banners and everything like that, because people were talking together. We have had conversations with fan groups, especially around the Super League. A lot of good relationships were forged that have since fell apart because everyone's gone back to what they were before. There are groups out there that will not discuss with us because we're not real fans. So I feel your frustration. I want this fan base. I don't have an issue with any United fan. I don't, or any United group, because ultimately we might not see this. We might not be on the same page, but we all want the same result. We all want United to be fantastic again, or just be where United should be and not be in this situation. And the door is always open for that conversation. I've said it to countless people. If there is a real campaign out there that everyone can get behind, what better platform to come on or let us promote something? There is no better platform. Our reach is bigger than anybody. It's massive. Why would you not use it? But some people and some groups just don't want to acknowledge it. They're not real fans. So look, there's thousands of you watching this. There'll be millions of you watching this every month. And unfortunately, some of these groups don't want your ears. They don't want it. So it's very frustrating. I find it all really frustrating. But I also know the pitfalls, as do many of you. I would love this fan base to unite. There are some very strong opinions on how you should support the club. I get that. But ultimately, we're all supporters. We all want what's best for United. And, you know, if there was everybody together, let's walk out of Old Trafford, how powerful would that be? Massive. But of course the normal concerns come along. If we sign De Jong tomorrow and we beat Liverpool, or if we beat Brentford on Saturday and we sign De Jong tomorrow, all this will disappear because it happens every year. Glazers out about transfers isn't what it's about. It's a bit like getting a puppy for Christmas. It won't be a puppy in May. You've got to keep that dog and look after it and love it the same for the rest of its life. And Glazers out, you've got to keep that going all year. Even when we win 4-0 against Liverpool, you've got to keep it going, and we're not good at that as well. So I suppose in a summary, I love the fact that we've got such an engaged and passionate fan base, and nobody should be mocked or knocked or abused because they come up with an idea to try and make change. But then nobody should be mocked and abused for saying that idea is not going to work. And I'm sorry, walk out of Old Trafford is not going to work. And maybe people aren't brave enough to face up to that, but it's not going to work. And you know why it's not going to work? Because people are not going to walk out. Not enough of them are going to walk out. And the reason they're not going to walk out is because you're trying to run the 100 metres and win Olympic gold and you've got 2 broken legs. The fan base is divided. It's shattered. You need to heal those broken legs so that we can run. And that's the analogy for you. We can win Olympic gold. This fan base can do anything it wants, but at the moment, it's got 2 broken legs. And instead of entering the Olympics and trying to win with 2 broken legs, we need to heal those injuries, get fit, and then break the bloody world record. And that's probably the most important analogy I've ever said, because that is the fan base. Our legs are broken. We can heal it, but we never take the time to heal it. We're always trying to get up and beat other people. Let's heal the fan base. Let's bring it together. Now, ideas on a postcard. Ideas on a postcard. I've got no idea how to do it. We've tried. And some people will give you a conversation. Some people will palm you off politely. Some people will just say, fuck off, we ain't talking to you. So, and that's within the fan base groups. So I'm not interested in, look, there's fans who are travelling from all around the world to go to every game home and away. There are fans who, from all around the world, getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning who would never come to England, let alone Old Trafford. You've got to bring them all together. Conversations about who's a real fan and who's a better fan doesn't matter. You've got to bring everybody together because there's millions of fans in India. There's millions of fans in America. There's millions of fans all around the world. And if you ignore them, you divide the fan base. You've got to bring everyone together. And I don't care who does that. We'd be a massive part of that. But it's like banging your head against the brick wall because the fan base is divided, and it has been ever since I can remember it's been divided, because there are fan groups out there who hate each other, like absolutely hate each other. And how can we succeed? How can we succeed? Because you know what? Someone comes up with a good idea. It only needs somebody else to go, what a shit idea that is. And then the people who like that person will go, yeah, shit idea. Argue, argue, argue. I know it's not what people want to hear. And I'll guarantee you there'll be people, even though I've explained that really clearly, and I don't like it, but it's the truth, even though I've explained it really well, there'll be people who will go, look at Goldbridge, fucking idiot, this, that and the other. And I rest my case. So actually, I sort of welcome the people abusing me for saying that, because it proves my point. Divided. That's what the fan base is. So we'll never achieve anything until it's together. And ultimately, that's why we end up praying that someone like Michael Knighton, who tried to buy us in the late 80s and embarrassed the club, has sat on YouTube and spoken about a hostile takeover that there is no detail in it. He's telling people not to sign up to the share scheme that Man United Supporters Trust are trying to put together. And I'm not saying that share scheme's good, but at least we're going to get some detail of that in the next couple of weeks. Michael Knighton sat there saying, I'm going to buy the club with people you don't even know about. I might just go and put a suit on. I might put a suit on, put a bit of fake tan on, put some grey in my hair and some sunglasses, and sit there and say, I'm going to buy Man United. Why put fake tan on? Because it makes it look like I've been on holiday. You know, I've got a villa in Marbella or something like that. You know, it's just, you know, people say, why do you focus on Rabiot? Why do you focus on the league? Why do you focus on Arnautovic? Because that's happening here and now. Like, and also, most important thing, if the Glazers sell, we'll probably still have them next summer. It will take a long, long time for the Glazers to sell, because at the moment, they don't want to sell. To get them round the table will probably take months. To get them to a situation where they agree to sell could take 1 or 2 years. So, you know, we do need to focus on the now. We do need to be asking questions about what's happened with this transfer window, De Jong. We do need to be calling out the director of football and the CEO and the owners, because even if they sell, they might not go for 3 or 4 years. It's like Michael Knighton does an interview on YouTube, and he's gonna be the new owner tomorrow. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Not that quickly, anyway. You've got to, if you want to bake a cake, you don't chuck all the ingredients in a microwave and it's ready in 30 seconds. It takes time. And if we want new owners, as I said, we need to heal this fan base and unite it. And I don't see anybody doing that. All I see is protest here, walk out here. Very, very quick actions that not everybody does. How's about educate before protest? How's about educate and heal before walk out? Why can't we focus on things like that? Because everybody wants to do something fast. The world works like this now. Everything is, we need answers now. No, I don't want to work for it. I want a #1 selling album now. I've only got an electric keyboard, but I want it now. You know, how's about working towards that? Come on. You know, it's simple life lessons. Like, if you want to make big change, you've got to make big plans. You've got to make sacrifice. It won't be easy. If you're a United fan and you don't like the United Stand, or you don't like the Red Army, or you don't like Manchester United Supporters Trust, and you want change, well, I tell you what, mate, you're going to have to sit down with the Manchester United Supporters Trust and the Red Army and the United Stand and every other group, because each of those things individually have power amongst the fan base, whether you like it or not, and that power makes you stronger. So if you want big change and you want the Glazers out, you can't do it with your select group that you like. You're going to have to bring everybody in, because everybody together makes you stronger. It's like going down the gym. You know, going down the gym, you've got no six-pack. You're not going to have it tomorrow, but hard work, bigger weights, more power. That's what we need to do. It's so logical, but nobody wants to do it. They want the quick win. Now, we'll just work with the people we like. Them lot can fuck off. And then, you know, when we've got change, they won't exist anymore. Well, of course we bloody will. Of course they will. United fans aren't going to stop supporting United and talking about United just because the Glazers aren't there. Need to unite the fan base. I don't know how you do it. We need a legendary ex-player to front the empty Old Trafford campaign and help unite Jay, that's not going to work. Jay, I'm sorry, it's not going to work. Rahul, welcome to that. Thank you very much for gifting 5 memberships. Builder fans, blockchain, use the 2% buy, sell tax, says DH Exian. But every idea that people come up with, blockchain, fund me, whatever, if you've got most of the fan base behind you, that will work. If every Man United fan puts £1 in, you'll buy Man United tomorrow. But you've got to, every idea is better with the majority of the fan base behind it. Imagine if Cantona said walk out of Old Trafford. I tell you what, they wouldn't. You think that would work, but it wouldn't. Gary Neville gets criticised by the United fan base, and he should do. If he says something that people don't agree with, then that doesn't mean he's not a legend, but it just means he's a human being who's not a player anymore and you don't agree with his opinion. You've got to unite minds. You've got to unite fans. And the sad thing is, when you want to, in life, when you want to get a large people behind something, whether it's the Labour Party or, you know, Elon Musk or whatever, you want to get a large people behind something, you need a common goal that unites people, that everyone's passionate about. It's a shame on this fan base that we cannot unite, because you've already won. You've already got the thing that unites minds. Every single United fan gets goosebumps when they hear and Solskjaer has won it. Every single United fan wants to see United win the Premier League or the European Cup. Every single United fan gets a tear in the eye when they hear the story or remember the Busby Babes. This club is great. It's absolutely great. And we've got the common goal that we're all, whether we like each other or not, passionately obsessed with. How can we not unite this fan base when we all want the same thing and are all emotionally attached to the same things? It's a shame. It's a shame on us all that this fan base cannot be united as one when we've got the thing to unite us. But we all spend our time arguing, and that's why the Glazers have been here so long. Even at the very start with the Glazers, I speak to people who were involved in like trying to stop the Glazers buying the club, and they were like, not enough fans came together. This has been going on for 17 years, and people think they're going to solve it with a Twitter campaign. Like, it could take us 18 months to get the fan base together. It could take us 10 years. But if we don't start doing it, we'll never do it. So that's where we are with this. And all I can repeat, welcome to Summers Club Jammers, all I can repeat is that this community, which is your community, will get behind anything that unites this fan base and makes this club better. But at the moment, there is nothing in place to do that, because everything that is being done is in silos, in groups. We'll talk to them, we don't want to work with them. We'll work with them, but we won't work with them. Everybody's doing it in silos. And these people will say they're for everybody, but they're not. They've got membership criterias. They've got different opinions on who's a real fan and who's not a fan. And I know that because I know we've tried to speak to them and they won't speak to us. Other people have tried to speak to them and they've been blocked. And that's the way it is. And I'm not talking about one specific organisation here. I'm speaking about 4 or 5 who then don't like each other as well. So that is a glimpse into the United fan base at the moment. There are groups, they don't like each other, and they won't talk to others. And until they open up and unite, and what a thing to have on your CV as well. Uniting the fan base, getting everybody together and working towards a common goal and making change. Like other fan bases around the world have done at their clubs. Barcelona would get their owners out in a week if they needed to. This fan base needs to unite and it needs to be better. Anyway, we've got a Ben Jacobs tweet. I'm just going to check. Oh, I get the sense this is going to be bad news. I really do. Big week as Chelsea pursue Frankie de Jong and Fofana. Clarity on Frankie de Jong future expected within the next 48 hours. Frankie de Jong still doesn't want to take a pay cut, opening the door to Chelsea. Man United have all but given up. Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh! Fucking get... You know what? The last 5 minutes, clip it, send it to everybody you bloody can. we need change at this football club, but we need to get the fan base together. Stop working in silos. Get everyone together. This club is a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace, and it starts at the top. The Glazers have got to go. Arnold's got to go. Murtaugh's got to go. Most of that board's got to go. Most of that club needs clearing out, and it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen until we get genuine change. Oh, I'm going for a cold shower. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. We'll be back at 2 and 8 o'clock, and if anything else happens.